Elevate your hatching egg shipping business with Beyond the Egg. Discover the art of premium packaging, master the details of shipping, and create an unforgettable experience for your customers. Enhance your reputation, build lasting trust, and set your business apart as the gold standard. Visit BeyondTheEgg.com to begin your journey to excellence.
Welcome, poultry nerds. Both of us are coughing, so we're going to try to do our best at recording today.
One thing's for sure, we won't get them sick.
We will not. We will keep our germs to ourselves in our own little cubbies here.
But I mean, this time of year, it's really, really rough.
I have paid
Everything's
attention.
changing out.
I have paid attention, and it seems like I get this every October, but we get crop dusters coming through, and I think that just stirs up a lot of dust in the air here.
They'll deny it.
They do deny it. So it is what it is. Deal with it and move on. But today we are going to touch on auto-sexing versus sex-linked. Again, we did it once before with Gina.
Yeah, we talked about some of the stuff that she's doing with some of her birds, making some zombies and a few other things. And it was a really fun to do podcast, so y'all should go check that out and give it a listen, especially if you've ever wanted to learn about doing sex-linked chickens and all that kind of stuff, or if you want to know what makes up a zombie chicken. They're fully alive, even though, we're close to Halloween right now while we're recording this.
Yeah. We got a lot of questions last week after doing the episode where moving from the hobby to the business. And so we figured I would take one of I guess my better selling quail out of the website and kind of explain why it's so popular and how I do it. And it is a sex-linked hatch.
And the reason behind it.
Well, the reason behind it is because it's in demand and it makes money. We'll just lay that out on the table right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of going from hobby to business is everybody wants to pay their feed bill, but if you can actually give yourself $1 or $2, that makes it even better.
So let's kind of back up just a little bit and talk about the difference between auto-sexing and sex-linked, just because that seems to confuse some people when it comes to the quail. There are no quail color varieties that are auto-sexing. Auto-sexing simply means that they breed true and they are sexable at hatch. None of the quail do that. Sex-linked is where you manipulate genes that are on the sex chromosomes in order to change the plumage color at hatch to sex them. Did I say that right?
Yeah, so basically it's when you're playing tic-tac-toe with chromosomes and using Z's and W's instead of X's and O's.
Yeah.
That way you can put this over this, and that with it being poultry, then they're going to swap when they hatch. So like if you use a Pharaoh rooster, then your hens are going to look like Pharaohs.
No. Okay.
They do on chickens.
So look. So Egyptian, we're going to talk about what I use. There are a couple other methods of doing it, but I use Egyptians, which is the roux gene. Right. And it is located on the sex chromosome.
Yeah.
And if it's recessive, okay, so on a male, he can be a carrier and not have the phenotype of roux, okay? Mm-hmm. But a female only can have one copy of it because she only has one one copy of it on her chromosomes.
She only got one copy on her side.
Right. So if she is roux, then she is homozygous. If the male is roux, he's homozygous. But you can also have heterozygous. But I'm digressing there for a second. Okay. So what you do is you take a roux rooster, which in my case I use Egyptian, which means he has 2 copies of the roux gene, and I put them over Pharaoh hens because Pharaoh hens would be homozygous. They can't hide anything.
No, they really can't. You put anything with a Pharaoh hen and it's coming.
And so the offspring will be Egyptian hens and split Pharaoh roosters. And that's important to remember the split Pharaoh, because remember the dad's Egyptian and he can give something to his sons and mom can give something to the sons. So they end up with 2 copies. Okay. So she gives them Pharaoh, which is dominant, but he is giving them Egyptian, which is recessive. That's why we call them split. So you cannot tell by looking at them that they are split because it's a recessive trait. So the reason why that is important is you do not want to put those boys in your Pharaoh cages because they will mess you up.
They will come out and you will wind up with a Valentine's candy gift.
You'll end up with Egyptians everywhere.
Because they'll be like a box of chocolates. You don't know what's coming out of those eggs.
In order to make this work, you have to keep breeding groups of Egyptians because they breed true. And then you have to keep breeding groups of pharaohs that breed true. So you can use the Egyptian roosters and the pharaoh hens. Okay, so the magic is the Egyptian rooster over the pharaoh hens. And then the offspring will be Egyptian hens. That is my biggest seller. I ship chicks, which a lot of people are scared to do, but I can ship guaranteed quail chicks doing that. And that is my biggest seller because a lot of people only want females. Well, that's fine and dandy, but that leaves me with half a hatch of split genetic males. Okay. And I can't use them. They're basically useless as far as breeding is concerned.
But let me tell you, those things are useful when you have a spoiled, rotten dog that likes to eat really good, when you have reptiles, when you don't even want to put them in the brooder, but you want to make money off of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're useful. Gas them and freeze them.
So that is what I do with them. I gas them and freeze them. That is where my frozen fritters come from for my website that I ship out for reptiles, snakes, dogs, whatever. But I can also sell them to people who just want to grow them out for food because they don't care. But for whatever reason, they have to leave here when they're chick stage because I don't want to brood them. I don't want to raise them, and I don't want to risk them getting mixed up with my true pharaohs because that would be bad for a long time. It would take me a while to make sure everything was sorted again.
Yeah, and that's just when you're doing stuff on any kind of scale, you can't afford that kind of mix up because they set you back.
We'll be right back.
Looking to rock some seriously comfy gear? If you love chickens and you're all about that fun style, Then Chicken Box has got the perfect t-shirts for you. From quirky designs to classic looks, their shirts are as comfy as us chicken tenders deserve. They even have a subscription service so your coop doesn't get bored. Head over to PoultryNerdsPodcast.com and click on Chicken Box to get your comfy shirts and support the podcast.
Exactly. So the other thing is if I don't sell the Egyptian hens as chicks, I can go ahead and grow them out and keep them separate. I end up with more hens growing out that I can then sell as the live adult shippers. Or, not shippers, but you know what I mean?
Frozen.
Shipping out live birds. Because everybody orders hens.
Yeah.
And so I know my space is better spent because I only grew out the hens. And I do get a lot of orders for the Egyptians, but I would say bulk of my orders would be hen's choice, which just means I can pick what I have. That's probably going to be a lot of Egyptians because
Say if that's what you got, that's what you got.
Because it's smarter on my brooder space, in my grow out space, versus trying to grow a lot of stuff out just to sex it later. Okay, so now that we've got the reason for it, how do well, you do it too, but how do we gas them and freeze them? Like logistically. We've seen on Facebook recently where people just set them in the freezer. Please do not do that.
Man, that's like horrible. You know,
It's like I on Facebook.
you know, and different people talk about doing different things. I don't even like to snap their necks. You know, you talk about wanting it to be as humane as possible. I can so when I take my hatching baskets out, if let's use this Egyptian Pharaoh combo, for example, and I know I'm not going to grow the roosters. So I open the basket, I look, and y'all go here, and I put them in there, set the lid on it, pull the tape off the little hole at the top on the far side. I open the gas up. When I start feeling the cool breeze, I cover the tape back up, leave it on for about 30 more seconds, cut it off, and they're not moving anymore.
Well, let's kind of so since we're a podcast, we need to walk through the visual here. So you use carbon dioxide. I mean, your setup's similar to mine.
Yep. We
use carbon dioxide. I here in Middle Tennessee get mine at a welding supply store.
Yeah, that's what I do. And when I walked in the first time, I was like, hey, I need to get a tank of carbon dioxide. Guy looked at me kind of funny. He said, you come in here all the time and get different things, but I got to ask. And I just started laughing. And I said, well, this is what I'm doing. And he was like, that is really fast. I couldn't think of a more humane way. I was like, well, that's what I want to do. So, he helped me out, got what I needed. And it works. I don't know anywhere else you can go buy the stuff besides the welding supply house.
Well, it's the same stuff that you would get for soda machines, but I would assume it would be more expensive that way because
those tanks are huge.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I don't know. I just go to the welding supply store. I don't know how big that tank is. Was it like 50 pounds or something?
Yeah, I want to say it's 3 feet tall. No, 2 feet tall, probably. Yeah. Somewhere between 2 and 3. I will say, if you're going to start doing this, you got to get a regulator specifically made for carbon dioxide because they all have different types of fittings on the top. I learned that the hard way. And don't freak out when they tell you what your bill is the first time.
For the regulator?
Because if you don't have a tank, you got to buy a tank. And I ordered my regulator and hose and stuff off Amazon. It was cheap. But that tank.
First time? I think it was like $30. But it's only like $30 to swap it.
Yeah, you go swap it, $30, you're done.
Right. Now I bought the gauges because I have run out before and I didn't want to do that again. So I did go ahead and buy gauges a couple refills ago. Okay, so you've got your CO2 tank. The gauges are optional, but they're pricey, so make sure it's something you want to stick with before you invest in the gauges.
I will say this, don't buy your gauges from your welding supply store.
Well, I did.
I didn't. And when I went back to look for a propane torch, the guy was like, dude, you don't want to buy your gauges here. You buy them on Amazon and probably won't even buy empty tanks for propane on Amazon and bring them to fill them. I was like, okay. So I think I paid like $50 or $60 for my gauges.
Well, I paid 80. But mine's fancy. Mine has its own cutoff and everything on it.
2 gauges. I can adjust the pressure.
Okay, fine. We got the same gauge, it sounds like. Okay, so I paid 80 at the
Great minds think alike.
and he saved money on Amazon. Okay, so there's that. Then all you need, I have clear hosing. I don't know if everybody uses clear hosing that hooks on the end. And then you just need a tub. What is it? A Rubbermaid tub that's got clamping lid.
Yeah, what I did was, because I'd seen your setup, I got my hatching basket and I knew about how wide and stuff and checked how tall it was. And I literally went to Dollar Tree and found a container that was about 2 inches taller and several inches around. So I could just put the whole hatching bag, because sometimes if I have a big order and I'm not needing anything for the future, I'll just out of the hatcher into the freezer. It's a thing.
You don't want to get a Rubbermaid tab that is too big, because then you're just wasting gas.
Mm-hmm.
And so like what he's talking about is, if you're going to use your hatching baskets, then and set them down in there, which I do that too, then you just want a tub that's just a little bit bigger. So I think mine is like the one that goes under your bed. So it's like 6 or 7 inches tall.
Yeah, that's what mine is.
Yeah. So you don't want it like a big deep one, because what you're going to do is you're going to open the gas and fill the tub. So you need to have a relief hole in the top of the lid. The lid needs to clamp on, otherwise that thing will blow off. So it needs to have clamps on the side of the lid. And then you're going to open the valve all the way. Don't try at this point to conserve gas, because we want to be as humane as possible. So you want to open it out, fill that thing with gas, and then cover the hole. I use a piece of painter's tape to cover the hole.
This stuff works for everything.
I know, I use it everywhere. And then cut the tank off. Now, it will get really cold coming out of the tank, and you could freeze your line. I did something the other day that I've never done before. The line was frozen, and I bumped it and cracked the line and had to cut it and reconnect it again. So the line was frozen, and the tubing was so frozen that when I touched it, it broke it. Yes. So don't skimp on the tubing. Go ahead and leave it long, so when you break it, you can rehook it back up again.
So when I got my gauges, I got one that had a probably 4-foot leader on it, and it had a connector on the end of it. And I got a piece that I drilled a hole through the tank or through the Tupperware thing and put that in it. So I'm using the tube that came with it, because apparently those tanks are so expensive, because they're like 3,000 PSI. And that's a lot of pressure, but it works fast.
Yes. So the birds go to sleep, flop around just a little bit, go to sleep, gone. Come back in a couple minutes. You don't want to wait too terribly long. I would say no more than 3 to 5 minutes. and then place them on single layer trays to go in the freezer. I actually use my old hatching baskets that I don't use anymore and just lay them flat on there and freeze them and then just stack them up that way and fill the
Yeah.
freezer.
Guys, I will say this. If your wife is a baker and she has those cooling racks for cake, while those are perfect for this, don't use them. After you get a stern talking to, you will be buying her some new ones. And so if you want to use those, just save yourself the headache and order you some. But the cooling racks for cakes work really well if you don't have hatching baskets that have the perforated holes all in them that you don't use anymore for hatching.
So 2 more tips that I have learned doing this is you don't want to wait too long. Like I said, 3 to 5 minutes, because if you wait any longer, they sweat is like, I don't know, they do. I don't know what that is about. Yeah. And so they'll get freezer burn is what they look like because they're wet and then they'll freeze. So you want to freeze them relatively quickly and wipe out the bottom of the tub really good because there'll be some poop and stuff in there. So you want to wipe that out for the next go around. And the second thing that I've learned is you really want to freeze them before you bag them because otherwise you get that sweating situation again. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Or you can be lazy and also pull out a paper towel, put that in the bottom of your storage container, then set your hatching basket on top of that, put the lid on it, the paper towel away so you don't have to clean it. Like, I know it's a wasted paper towel, but I'm bad about that.
I do also, while we're on this topic, I freeze adult males for other creatures to eat. And when you freeze them, try to position them, I guess would be the right word, in the freezer where their feet are kind of under them, and it will make it easier to go in the bags later. You'll kind of learn what works for your packaging later. But once they're frozen, it's really hard to reposition them. And the smaller they are, try not to let them touch the side of the freezer because occasionally they might lose pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you sell 75 and a half.
And I will say this, don't put them in your freezer in your house.
No, don't do that.
Because you may be sitting in your recliner enjoying TV. First time you got to sit down and watch your favorite show for a while, and your wife is cooking supper and she screams out your name like you're in trouble because a chick just fell out of the freezer.
Yeah. Yeah, I have an old barn fridge. It's rusty, but it still works. And
Highly recommend that.
yeah.
Or get a deep freeze just for this.
So the purpose of this topic, which I know is not going to be for everybody, but it was because neither one of us are about wasting things. And so even baby chicks have a purpose as food. It just may not be for people food, but other creatures have to eat. And in the wild, I mean, they would get eaten. Well, I feel like it's okay because we are providing a food source for other animals to eat and not wasting anything. And basically everybody gets what they need.
Well, and like, no matter how good your genetics are, you're still going to wind up with a chick every now and then that's play-legged. Or just, you don't like it out of the brooder.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's it's a great thing to do with the ones that you don't need anymore.
So, and then snakes and lizards and stuff, they need different sizes. So you don't have to decide that today, when they come out of that hatcher. You can decide 3 weeks from now that it's not doing, it's failing to thrive as much as its brooder mates, or it's the wrong color markings that you need, or it's the wrong sex. You can sex it at that point. And then go ahead and freeze them for the mid-size feeders. So it's useful all the way through, but be humane about it, be smart about it, and try not to waste anything. And that is my tip for the day. Anything else you want to add?
I mean, no, like it does sound weird to do this, but there's a whole community out there of people that feed their dog raw. Raw feeding is a thing. And if you look at what goes into dog food, it's about as bad, if not worse, than what goes into chicken feed. If you want the best for little Sparky, make their feed. It's a thing. And when it comes to reptiles, quail are a lot more nutritious than mice. They don't stink as bad.
And I think that I don't know anything about reptiles, but when I went to the reptile show, they were explaining that the fur of the mice, the snake has to regurgitate it. It can't digest it, but it can digest all of the quail.
They can digest all the quail, yeah.
And so the movement in the reptile world is back to bird. And so I did not start freezing quail. Like, I didn't wake up one morning and go, hey, I'm going to do frozens today. It was more or less, hey, I need as an outlet for these males that I'm getting from the auto-sexing cage. What can I do with them? And the reptile people filled that need. They don't care what color they are. All right. Hope that was helpful to somebody. If you have any questions, let us know.
Yep. Be sure to check us out on our website, poultrynerdspodcast.com. Send us an email if you got any questions, info@poultrynerdspodcast.com, or find one of us on social. Tell us hello. We'd love to hear, if you learned something from the show, we would love to hear about that. Till next time.
Thank you for joining us this week. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they are released. And they're released every week. Feel free to email us at poultrynerds@gmail.com to share your thoughts about the show. Until next time, Poultry Pals, keep clucking, keep learning, and keep it exciting. This is Carey signing off from Poultry Nerds. Feathers up, everyone.